What's up, guys? It's your girl Christina with On Cue Makeup. Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. Today, as you can see, we are doing a neutral nude look. My absolute favorite look. Like, if I could do a video every day, this would be the look I would do every day if I had my choice. But of course, we have to do something different so I can show you guys different looks and different techniques to give you more creative ideas with your own looks. So this one here is inspired by my hair. Of course, this is something new, something different. It's really, really bright and bold. I absolutely love it. My girl Coco Styles definitely hooked me up with this one. This was something new for us, but I mean, I'm loving it, especially with the springtime coming up. This is going to be my favorite wig. I promise you that. So I'm going to be doing more looks with it, but I definitely wanted to do a neutral look because a lot of times I see people with like bold colors and they take away from the beauty of the hair because their makeup is like screaming with something way, way, way too bold to where it's just like totally off balance. You know what I'm saying? I always feel like if you have something bold and bright like this, kind of keep it neutral and nude with your makeup. Your makeup still can pop. You can still be highlighted and glowing, but definitely, you know, keep it in the neutrals. So your focal point could be your hair color. And then sometimes, like when I do like black or neutral color hair, I can play up my makeup a little bit more, do something a little bit more dramatic and colorful, you know what I'm saying, and make the face my focal point. But with something like this, you definitely want to keep your face a little bit more nude, neutral, if you know what I mean. But to each his own. So with all that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This video, I will be walking you step by step, and I'm actually talking as I'm doing the makeup or whatever. So this is a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoy that. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. Definitely, if you like the video, give it 2 thumbs up. Even if you don't like it, still give it 2 thumbs up, okay? And if you're not subscribed to my channel, definitely subscribe and put that notification bell on so you guys can get a notification every time I do a new video. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Okay guys, so let me spit this gum out because I'm gonna chew this so I can't chew it no more. All right, so I'm starting off with a blank canvas. I don't have anything on. I do have a little oil on that I put on, some almond oil, just very, very, very lightly, because I just washed my face and it was a little extra dry. So I have that on, and that's about it. So I'm going to start off with doing my brows. If you watch my previous videos, you know that I like to start off doing my brows first. So I'm just using a brow brush to brush them to make sure they're all straight and going in the right direction, and they're not all like hairy and all over the place. So that's a must do before actually doing your brows, before actually filling them in. Now I'm going to fill them in using an angle brush. If you notice, this brush is very, very, very thin. When drawing in your brows, especially when using a brow gel, you should always use a thin angle brush. And the brow gel that I'm using is just like a basic one that I got from the beauty store that I absolutely love. And I'm just going to saturate my brush on both sides. And if you notice, I'm using a soft brown color. because I don't want my brows to be too dark because of my light hair. But then again, I didn't want it to, you know, I didn't want to use like a pink or anything like that exotic, because I still want to keep my look natural even though my hair isn't. So I'm just going to keep it with the soft brown. Nothing too dark or too harsh. Just like my natural color. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go into my concealer. I love to use the LA Girl concealer, and for me, I'm going to use, nope, you know what? I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to use Cool Tan. This is a color that's in between the colors that I normally use, but this time I'm just going to go across my entire brow with the Cool Tan, and it's not going to be too dark and it's not going to be too light. It's going to be just perfect, as you're going to see. And so then afterwards I'll just blend it in with like a buffer color. For this as well, I'm going to use a thin synthetic hairbrush just so I can be real precise when putting on my concealer. And if you notice, I'm not going too far in the front because I still want to keep that natural, so I'm going to lightly put some concealer there. Now I'm going to go in with my toffee. I'm going to go in right in the corner of my eye and go over my eyelid. The reason why I like to do this is because, you know, when you put your foundation on, like when you do your eyes and then you put your foundation on, then you have to go in while your eyes are done and kind of put foundation in that area to cover that little area in the inside part, and it's so hard to do that. So I always like to do it first, cover it with foundation before I actually do my eyes. And I just take a sponge and just kind of blend it. Conceal that whole eye. Once I do that, to set my concealer, I'm always going to touch it up with a sheer press powder. So the one I'm using today is the Fit Me by Maybelline. And I'm using it like a shade that's like 1 to 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. But I'm only using it to set that concealer so it doesn't, you know, get oily or move. Using a fluffy brush just so I can lightly apply it. Now it's ready for shadow. Prepped and primed for shadow. When I do this technique, I don't necessarily have to use an eyeshadow primer unless I'm doing something, you know, with some bold colors and I really want those colors to really pop. That's the only time when I would use eyeshadow primer when doing this technique. But since I'm not going to do that today, I'm not going to use any eyeshadow primer or extra concealer to make those colors pop, because, I mean, I'm just doing something like neutral. Okay, so I went ahead on and finished this eye so you guys can kind of have an idea of the direction I'm heading into. So the next step that I did after I finished my brows is I used a buffer color. Now this is just a neutral color that's like 2 shades darker than my skin tone. This is actually called Blunt from MAC. It's like a blush. I use this for my contour on my face as well as my transition color on my eyes. Works perfectly. Where's my brush at? Okay, so I'm going to use a 224 buffer brush. As you can see, it's a little fluffy, not too stiff. And this is going to give me like a light application. Just something sheer because I don't want it to be too heavy. As you can notice, I just want it to be real natural. Just doing windshield wiper motion, back and forth. Getting that concealer blended. I'm going to leave it just like that because I don't want it too dark or too heavy. I just want something really light. Now I'm going to go in with this color here to highlight the tear ducts of my eye. This is called Nylon. This is also a shadow, an eyeshadow from MAC. I'm going to use like a little small fluffy brush. It's a little bit stiffer than the one that I just used because I want to put a little bit more color, pack on a little bit more color. So of course I'm going to use a stiffer brush. You always want to make sure each side is even. Now that I'm done with that, I'm going to go in with my liquid liner. You can use a gel liner, but for me on my top, I find it easier for me to use the liquid black liner. Some people like to use the gel because you have better control over it and it's a little bit easier, but I've been using this for so long on the top that I'm more comfortable with using it. So it's not about which one is better or, you know, works the best. It's just about, you know, what you're more comfortable, what formula you're more comfortable with using. I'm not going to do a wing this time. I'm just going to stop it right there at the corner of my eye. Now, I like to use, of course, you wouldn't use liquid liner in your waterline because it's like, it'll get too messy and watery because of, you know, like the natural water that's in your eye. So I'm going to use the gel black liner. I like this one. This one is Ruby Kisses, and it comes out the beauty store. It's like $2.99, and if you guys watch my videos, you'll notice that I always use this. I like it because it's really black and it does not move. When I put it on, like I never have a problem with it, you know, moving or running or things like that. Now you can use this particular formula for the waterline or you can use a pencil. Either or is fine. It's the same thing as I said about the liquid liner, just whatever formula you feel more comfortable with using. Like they have some great pencil eyeliners and they have some great gel eyeliners. So it's totally up to you. And of course, I'm using an angle brush to apply it. Now for the lashes, I'm going to use Ebony Beauty lashes. Here, I already took them out the pack, obviously, because I have one on. But I actually love these lashes. It's a mink hair lash. Really light. Natural looking, as you can see. And it don't feel heavy or anything on the eyes, so that's a plus. Even though I don't mind the heavy lashes, you know, I love a lash. So if it's heavy or not, it doesn't matter to me, but I know a lot of people do care about that. So that's why I had to give y'all that little information. I'm just using regular hair glue to apply it. Just a thin little layer on a band. Gotta make sure it's bended right. Remember, hold your breath when putting your lashes on. It helps create a steady hand. I mean, don't hold it so much so you pass out or nothing like that, but oh Lord, did I put the lashes on the wrong side? Possibly. But, oh, I don't have no scissors. But that's gonna do for the day. I may have put them on the wrong side, but it doesn't matter because it still look good, so it's all good. Now for the face part, guys. You know, normally I would use my, well, no, let me do this first. I'm gonna use some Milk of Magnesia to set my face, to work as a primer. Normally I don't use it all the time, but today I'm gonna have my makeup on for hours. Well, tonight, as I should say. You guys wouldn't believe it if I told you this, that it's literally 11:30 here, and I'm getting ready because I have a call time on set for 3 o'clock in the morning in New Orleans. So I have to leave home for 1:45 at nighttime / morning to be there for 3. So I'm gonna have this makeup on all day because once I finish on set, I have to go to the salon and work on clients. So today is gonna be an extra long day, so I'm going to use this Milk of Magnesia to make sure my makeup stays matte all day long. I'm gonna let that dry for a few seconds. The foundation I'm gonna use today is the Maybelline Fit Me. And I'm using the colors 332 and 335. I'm gonna mix it. I'm gonna use more of the 332 than the 335. But I'm kind of in between. I don't think they have an in between. If they do, I could not find it. So that's why I'm just mixing. But it doesn't matter because, I mean, it still works either way. And this foundation is pretty good. I love how it goes on really, really good. And it stays matte for the most part. And then it's like really inexpensive. See how my face is getting white? The Milk of Magnesia is drying. So that's what you want it to do. Once you put it on, you want it to dry. And you don't want to put too much to where it's like really chalky white. But this here is just enough. And this is how you will want it to look. And if you notice, I kind of just kept it in the T-zone area and not all over. And when I'm mixing my foundation, I'm just like putting it on a brush. Putting the other color too. This is the lazy way, don't judge me. All right. Now let's hope this works.
What we do here is go back.
I think one side of my face is darker than the other side. Yeah, I think so. All right, so now that I'm finished buffing in my foundation with, of course, my buffer brush. This is a random brush, guys. I don't know exactly where I got this from. It maybe came in a little kit or something, but I absolutely love it. Any brush that kind of looks like this and has this type of density is really good for foundation. Especially when you don't want like too much of a heavy coverage or application. You can use something like that because you can continue to buff it in to kind of like sheer out the foundation. The more you buff it, the more you can sheer it out. Alrighty, now I'm gonna go in with my concealer, and of course I'm gonna use my LA Girl, which I swear by. I'm gonna use it in medium beige, which is 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. If you notice, I'm not putting it really close under my eye because as I go to stipple that in with my beauty blender, it's gonna, you know, ease up that way anyway. So I'm just gonna let it do what it do. I like to put a lot on when I'm doing it because I really want my concealer to cover, and then by me using a sponge, I know that the sponge absorbs some of the concealer, so some of the product. So I'm gonna put a little extra to make up for what the sponge is gonna absorb because I still want it to be like fully covered under the eye area. You know, I know sometimes I hear people say when they put their concealer on is like not covering and they can still see through the concealer. That's because they're not putting enough product on, and then they're using a beauty blender and it's just absorbing it. Like if you want to use just a little bit of product, use a brush to blend out your concealer. But if you use a sponge, use a little extra product. Just want to blend the edges. And see, right now I'm highlighting my nose. One thing that y'all need to keep in mind is when highlighting the nose, you want to make sure that you put the highlight part, which is the lighter part, on the bridge of the nose as fine as you can. Because a lot of times I see when people do highlight, they do a wide area of the lighter part, which defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. Because when you're highlighting your nose, you're trying to give your nose a slender look. If you have most of your nose covered in lightness and shimmer, you're actually making your nose appear larger than what it is. So that's a good thing to keep in mind when contouring a nose. See? And I mean, actually, if I wanted to stay really natural, I can leave my nose just like this, highlighted, and I don't even have to contour on the side because it still gives my nose the illusion of more of the illusion of a slimmer nose, if you can notice, and it still looks like my natural shadow on the side. But for me, of course, I'm gonna go in and contour because I want more of a dramatic look to it. Not too dramatic to where it's unnatural, but just a little bit more depth to it. So now that I'm finished that, I'm gonna go in and contour with my blunt powder that I used on my eyes. Just using a brush like this, and I'm gonna go right into the hollow part of my cheekbones, which is that part like underneath your cheekbone. You can kind of feel a little indentation there. So that's where you will want to contour at. Some people do this, and you keep it there. But when you know, you don't have to. But I mean, whichever way makes it easier for you. So I'm going circular motion because I still want to blend it at the same time as I'm applying it. Sometimes that makes it a little bit harder and the contour can kind of get out of place all over. So I mean, if you're more comfortable with doing it this way and blending later, definitely do so. I'm just here to show techniques, but once you start trying different things on your own face or your clients, you'll kind of figure out more what works best for you and what's more comfortable for you. So there's no one particular way that you should that you have to do makeup. Yes, of course there are rules, but when it comes to technique, you can definitely be creative with that and use whatever works, best for you. Now I'm gonna go in with a flat brush like this. It's not a synthetic hair, it's like a goat hair. And it's real soft, really light, but I'm going to use this to contour my nose. I started using this brush because it gives me more control, but I make sure though too that I have very, very little product on when I'm using this brush. And I kind of start here and lightly go on the side of my nose. And remember, it's always good to start off with a little product and build up versus starting off with a lot of product and then having to break down. That's the hardest thing. So always start with a little and just continuously add if needed. Alrighty, now that I'm done with the contour, I'm going to go in with my sheer press powder that I use to set my eye concealer. I'm going to use that underneath my eye now to set the concealer that I did here. Okay, what brush am I using? I use a little brush like this because it fits directly under my eye when I press. So I always love to use brushes that I have better control with and it kind of fit in the area that I'm trying to, work with. And I'm just going to pat it. And this also helps to seal your concealer because your concealer is wet, so it gets into the creases and everything like that and, creates little lines and marks underneath your eyes. So that's why it's always good to really, really set it good with a sheer press powder or a loose powder, banana powder, something like that, because you want to lock in that concealer and that wetness. You want to matte it out so that it does not move. So that's why when I do it, I make sure that I look up and I really get into those lines. Alrighty, now that I'm done with that, I'm going to take my all over press powder, which I use the Studio Water Weight by MAC. It reminds me of their Studio Fix powder, but just a little bit more sheerer. I actually love this formula. Now I'm just going to blend everything together. You should always use a powder to set your liquid foundation or even cream foundation, especially if you want a matte look and especially if you want to have a little bit more long wearing with it. This just locks everything into place. I hate when I have a scarf or something on my head because I feel like I'm always missing spots.
What we do here is go back.
All right. Now I'm just going to go in with some blush. I'm going to use this sheer pink, which is my favorite one. It's a matte finish as well. If you haven't noticed, I love matte textures more than anything. You want to know where to put blush at? Smile. Alrighty, now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna add a little pop underneath my eye, but very, very little. Just something to kind of like go with my pink hair. This is Star Violet from MAC, and if you can see, it's like a cranberry color, like a dark frosty burgundy. But I'm gonna use an angle brush, like a really, really stiff angle brush. Okay, after I clean it. And I'm gonna put it right under my lash line. Well, right on my lash line. Just to give a little pop of color. Give a little flavor to it. But still keeping it natural, you know? Probably can't see it much, but it gives like a hint of a pinkish rose cranberry type of color. Now I'm gonna do my mascara to pop those bottom lashes out. Y'all, if I could do this look every day on YouTube, and this is it, like I would literally make videos every day. When I tell you this is my absolute favorite look to do, favorite look to wear. If you ever see me like out publicly and my makeup is done, it's always going to be a look like this. I think it's just so classy, so easy on the eyes for other people. And like if I'm going on a date with men, I always come to this look because it's like, this way it's not too much shadow screaming, and not too big of a lash to where he's like, what the heck is going on with her face? And you know how you look at somebody and you just like, whoa, too much is going on. So I keep that in mind, you know, when doing my makeup if I'm going on a date, and this look works wonders. And y'all, I'm just using the tip part of the mascara wand. Really light, going windshield wiper motion. Because I really want those bottom lashes to pop out, and I do not want to get it on my eye whatsoever, because that just messes up your whole look. But if you did get mascara on your eye, don't panic. Let it dry a little bit, and take like a hard brush or something hard and just kind of scrape it off, and it comes right off with no smudging or anything. All right, so now for my favorite part, the lips. I'm gonna do my nude combination. Hold on. Okay, so I'm gonna use the Crayon Case lip liner. I don't know the name of this particular color, but I love it. It's like a plum or something like that, but it's so I love the way that it looks with my nude lipstick. And this is actually mine. What is it called? Midtown. And it's a really, really pretty nude, and it works perfectly for my skin tone. And I feel like that's the hardest thing ever to find, the perfect nude combination. I'm sorry, I got candy in my mouth. Oh, it's so good too. But hold on. All right. And when doing your lips, y'all, make sure your lips are dry. All right, and see when I did my liner, I kind of made it a little thick, but not heavy, but just a little bit thicker than just by my lip liner. By my lip line, I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna put on my matte nude lipstick. Put it on right in the middle. And just blot until it blends in. See how that was a little wet right there. That's why I say make sure your lips are dry. And there you have it. The perfect nude face. Something that you can wear with bold color hair and it not be too dramatic or too much or put too much focus on your face and your hair at the same time, and then you just go into like clown mode. So this is something that's going to create a nice balance for your face and your hair.